Welcome to The Range. I am your host, Brandon Brown. Usually, I don't like to be on the camera, but for this case, I'm making an exception. This week I'm doing the coach's rant. Boise State Broncos are ranked number 6 in the current BCS standings. Recently, there has been speculation of teams such as Iowa, Penn State, and Oklahoma State that would jump Boise State in claiming a BCS Bowl bid, since Boise is not in a conference that automatically qualifies for a BCS. As it stands, the Rose Bowl is a game between the Pac-10 and the Big Ten champion. In this case, it will be either Oregon or Oregon State versus Ohio State. The Sugar Bowl features the SEC champion versus an at-large team, which in this case, it will probably be your Florida or Alabama loser versus an at-large team. The Fiesta Bowl features a team which is your Big 12 champion and an at-large team. And the Orange Bowl is your ACC champion versus an at-large team. In this case, it will be your Clemson Tigers or the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. The Big East champion is also an automatic qualifier that can be placed in any of the games. If by chance Texas is a team to play in a national championship, leaving 2 at-large bids in the Fiesta Bowl, do not be surprised if the Fiesta Bowl invites the Big East champion to play in their bowl. In the past, the Big East champion has played in the Fiesta or the Orange Bowls. With Oklahoma State, Georgia Tech, and the Panthers losing over the weekend, the case is made even stronger that Boise State should be allowed into a BCS Bowl. All you can ask of a team is that they play their schedule. Even though their schedule is considered to be weak, that's exactly what Boise State has done. They have played their schedule that includes a victory over the now number 7 Oregon Ducks. The Broncos have done nothing except for earn victories the right way and have not complained once about it. Boise State deserves to be placed into a BCS Bowl. The final part of my rant is the selection part of the bowls. 2 years ago, the BCS Selection Committee stuck with tradition rather than placing a great matchup that would certainly earn the favor of fans across the nation. In the Rose Bowl, it was the USC Trojans versus the Illinois Fighting Illini as an at-large team. In the Sugar Bowl, it was the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. In my view, it should have been USC versus Georgia in the Rose Bowl and Illinois versus Hawaii in the Sugar Bowl. By sticking with tradition in this case, both Illinois and Hawaii were completely decimated by their opponents. If they have simply broke away from tradition, the matchups would have produced better games instead of blowouts. Last season, Alabama played Utah in the Sugar Bowl. Prior to the game, media and fans alike were predicting an Alabama beatdown, but were surprised to see when Utah defeated the Crimson Tide soundly. In their upcoming selection of the BCS Bowls, I want the selectors to take into account that Boise is undefeated, and at their position as number 6, they should be rewarded in playing in either the Orange or the Fiesta Bowl. Even I figure that they would have a tough time facing the loser of the SEC championship game if they were to place in the Sugar Bowl. But Boise, no matter what, deserves placement in a BCS Bowl. That is my coach's rant, and we'll be back with The Range in a few. Welcome back to The Range. Your host, Brandon Brown, here with your panel, the one and only Cleveland Spears, the one and only Flip Pluffs. Did I get it right?
No, you didn't. That's all right.
All right. J.B. Brown and the Honorable Chris Gallen. And first thing on the agenda for this episode of The Range is SFA Football, Action Jacks. Over the weekend, the SFA Lumberjacks faced off against a great Eastern Washington Eagle team, but the Lumberjacks were better than great. The Lumberjacks defeated the Eagles 44-33. So, JB, give a little bit of recap of the game.
Mainly, Eastern Washington and SFA matched up like staff to stat as far as both of them liking to throw the ball. Like a lot of the teams, they came from the Big Sky Conference, so they're in there with Montana and Weber State, who also made the playoffs. And both of them, like all those teams out there, like to throw the ball a lot, just like SFA. So SFA really didn't have that much. I wouldn't want to say like they didn't have that much preparation, as they knew exactly what to expect. Eastern Washington, they did bring a running game to the game, as their running back had over 1,000 yards, and he had a hell of a game against our defense, who really doesn't give up that much on the ground. All in all, both quarterbacks, pretty much, if you love your stats, then this was a game for you, as both quarterbacks had over 400 yards passing, and it was over 1,100 yards of total offense. But SFA found a way to build up on that lead and hold on for a thrilling victory.
And now for a civil discussion about SFA's upcoming opponent in Montana. Cleveland started off.
Man, Montana, number 1 seed overall in this tournament. It's very, it's very kind of disheartening for a team to beat down a team like Eastern Washington, then turn around and play a number 1 seed. But you know what? Montana had to come back against South Dakota State, which gives SFA a fighting chance, because we do score a lot of points, and if we do get up a lot, I don't see our defense folding like South Dakota State was. So I mean, it's just a matter of getting some points on the board, and hopefully we can score against that defense.
Chris.
Yes, Montana did come back on South Dakota State. It was a good game. They scored 40 unanswered points. SFA, we did have a good game. They need to wrap up a little better in the secondary. They did come away with a few picks. The penalties were flying, but we did manage to hang on. There were a few times in the fourth quarter where Eastern Washington converted on 4th downs, but we held on strong. We came up big when it counted, and now we're ready for a good game.
Now, what to expect out of SFA versus Montana? Doug.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. Going into the cold weather, I think is going to alter our passing game a bit. I think they should, maybe try running the football a bit better than they had in the past, just because of the weather. And Montana is quite familiar with that weather. And they're 12-0, so they know that area, I guess you could say, quite well. And it's going to be a tough matchup. Number 1, number 2 scoring offenses in the country. So it's going to be really, really difficult. But I think they have a legitimate shot. They just got to play perfect football. They can't have 4 turnovers like they did in the last game.
All right, going right into college football. And here we are featuring the top 2 teams in the nation in the SEC Championship. Number 2, the Alabama Crimson Tide. And hold them back. The number 1 team in the nation. The number 1 team in the nation. Once again, who cares? The Florida Gators.
That's right, who cares?
The Florida Gators. So, the SEC Championship, I will let the one and only Florida Gator break it down.
There's no reason to break it down. We're going to win, plain and simple. It should be a good game. Alabama, they have a real good team. Defense, they can stop the pass. It's a little bit harder for them to stop the run. Florida, ever since Tebow's concussion, they've become a little bit conservative as far as offense. I mean, our defense is still great. We still got the same defense from last year. The offensive weapons are not as potent as it was last year, but we still have pretty good offense. Alabama, as far as their offense, they had a Heisman candidate in their running back who didn't have such a good game against Auburn, but they still have a pretty good, talented wide receiver nucleus. And special teams will be a concern for them, as will it be for us. So it should be a good game, but I do see Florida winning.
Cleveland.
Man, I mean, it's very tough for me to believe in an Alabama team that really that had to come from behind, against Auburn. That was very disappointing for me to hear that they even were losing for more than 3/4 of that ball game. It just really blew me by storm. But Florida is on a roll since the Tebow concussion. They've conserved, they've been playing really conservative on offense, but you know what? They're still running up the score on people. And as conservative as can be, they can blow up at any time. Example, last year's SEC title game when they beat Alabama 31-10. So, I mean, can't wait to see what they do this Saturday. I got Florida.